I would like to start with some general outline of how NRM is evolving, especially the intellectual capital of it, and then also share some of our experience in running the research center in North America called the Nepal Center that has been doing this knowledge network creation for the last 5 years. And like to share some of our problems and prospects and some of the successes as well over time when the conferences moves on. I would like to start by saying this: the idea of the simple sort of word diaspora has come a long way. Okay. So since we are going to focus on the role of diaspora undertaking such a huge project, we need to understand Nepali diaspora, various aspects of it, some of the problems and some of the prospects. So let me begin by saying that the information communication technology, and because of its increasingly global access, power and resource pool of diaspora have completely transformed the very concept of globalization. And the traditional North-South division of donors to recipients linear development model is no longer valid. Especially the ever-growing and savvy professional diaspora pool has emerged as a force to reckon with. So if we want to make this a reality, we really need to understand the importance of our diaspora, especially in Nepal. So I'll come to that. So anyway, so many development organizations and donors have begun to realize the importance of diaspora community and have developed initiatives actually. World Bank has its own, European countries have their own initiative involving African diaspora and so on, especially targeting the scholars and intellectual academicians and so on. And obviously Nepal is no exception. Just look at the portal tamil.com. I don't know how many of you have used it, which has been specially designed to cater to the needs of Nepali diaspora communities. And you can now order a ceremonial goat, or the Mother's Day gift, or even a Valentine rose bouquet right from here, from your apartment in Nepal. So that's how we have been connected through IT. So if we want to make this a success, IT takes a very important role in the middle of it. And the other, when we think of diaspora in Nepal, currently we think of millions of, or the billions of rupees of remittances being sent to Nepal, which has been pretty successful in keeping the Nepali economy floating right now amidst all this chaos and so on. So that's one. And then there are hundreds, even thousands of blogs now that Nepalis are involved in creating social networks. Vibrant global community of Nepalis basically have redefined the word spatial distance. It has disappeared. So that's the social side of it. And over the last decade or so, the Nepali diaspora community has seen a remarkable growth in our population, various immigrants, in students, professional researchers, scholars, and academicians, mostly in North America, Australia, and Europe. We are diverse in many different ways, independent, dynamic, and grossly underutilized. So that's what this Open University concept has to look into and understand the organic nature of that community if we really want to tap into that sources. So I'm going to go into a few ideas on it and suggest some suggestions. So for example, I'd like to divide our diaspora capital in 3 ways. One is the social capital, financial capital, and the intellectual capital. Those are 3 capitals. When we think of social capital, we talk about online discussions, activism, social movements, humanitarian support, philanthropy, volunteerism, cultural souls, and so on. So that creates that one segment very vibrant. And the second one is also emerging very slowly, not as strong as in many comparisons in countries like India, of course, but we're also generating a little bit of a financial capital, meaning lots of our Nepalese entrepreneurs have begun to invest in Nepal. And then we have the intellectual capital. That's where we have to look into for the success of this project, or any other project like this, which is the intellectual capital. We talk about the science, which I like to include natural science, medical science, and social sciences and technology. So think of the science and technology in innovation, patents, research, teaching, professional skills, and entrepreneurial skills. So think of these 3 capital first. call it knowledge pool. So that's what we have. It is very vast, and we can collectively make a difference by being the agents of change. But we are diverse, independent, sometimes territorial, adversarial, endogenous in nature, and unpredictable sometimes. So except for one or two issues, our efforts now are mostly parochial in Nepal. So the idea is to collectively give them some vision so that we all can come together. So this could be one such project among others. So in the Open University concept, where if it were to be truly a diaspora project, which it seems to be intended based on the numerous references here being made to that word, diaspora and NRN, we must have a better understanding of the following. For example, developing an inventory of our diaspora knowledge pool through information gathering. So we haven't done that. And our government has also not taken initiative in that regard. I was hoping that some government official would be here today so we could interact with them and maybe share some of the experience in other countries like Brazil, South Africa, Sudanese, Armenian, and many other countries where the governments have played a very important role in terms of gathering information about the diaspora professional pool. And have a very vibrant government support. That's the first thing, information gathering, and we haven't done that yet, our Nepali community. And the second one is the better understanding of the knowledge management of that. So there is a vast knowledge out there, and how to manage it. So we need to understand that part also. So that is the Open University project. Managers should understand the motive and interest of three players, actually. The government of Nepal, the NRN organization, and the scientific diaspora. So we have to understand these three components. So understanding the role of government of Nepal is very important. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. For example, the government of Nepal needs to see the diaspora as a valuable asset, ready to be harnessed by adopting efficient knowledge management style. For example, it can develop an inventory of diaspora skills, directory of professionals, and instead of taxing the knowledge production process, where the Nepal government seems to be heading, it should create policies to promote, I call it brain gain, or brain circulation. I'll give a little bit of a definition in the two. So brain gain could be when the Nepali diaspora heads back to Nepal and settles there. That's a gain. Circulation is a temporary visit. Aside from all this jargon, the question is how to harness it. So government has to play an important role because this asset will be leaving the country continuously. As you know, that about 8,000 students every year leave for Australia, and equal amount come to US also. Many of these intellectual capital are going to settle in these countries. So the point is that's a vast asset, how to tap into that. So governments can do a couple of things that I'm not an authority on this, and we have different sessions, such as how to create dual citizenships, maybe creation of a ministry of NRN, or even creating some incentives from the government side to in programs to attract children of NRN back to Nepal and back and forth, something like that.